Hi, I'm Dr. Phyllis. I am a transformational life coach and mentor with over 20 years experience as a physician and in women's ministry. It has been my great honor to coach you through the Overwhelmed to Resilient podcast. And it has been awesome to see how Christian women like yourself have been able to overcome the feelings of overwhelm by tapping into their inner resilience. And now God has put it on my heart that it's time for me to coach you at a higher level by helping you go real deep, even beyond being resilient. It is my goal with the new, refreshed Joy in the Pivot podcast to help you create joy in the midst of whatever life throws at you. Life is full of pivots. And although many pivots can be planned, most often they're unexpected and unplanned, unanticipated. And you have the choice either to get stuck or move forward. It's similar to what Paul said when he said that he had learned to be content in whatever season he found himself. I call that joy. And even in the midst of when the job doesn't quite work out the way you thought it was after you spent years on that particular job. Maybe you've prepared by going to school and going to school and going to school, and all of a sudden, either because the job changes or God puts it on your heart that He's ready for you to do something else, you can get stuck or you can move forward. When you lose someone that you care deeply about, who is someone who has been your lifeline or very foundational for your life, and overnight life changes, that's a pivot. And you have a choice to get stuck or move forward. When something happens with a relationship, be it with a spouse, be it with a friend or a sibling or your child, that's a pivotal moment. What will you do? What have you done? When you find yourself just thinking about the dreams that you have put on the shelf for so many years, and you wonder, is it too late? Let me tell you, that's a pivot, and you don't have to get stuck. When life seems to be giving you lemons, and you know that famous saying of when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, and you know you need to do something more. You know that God is calling you to do something more, but you just don't know what to do. That's a pivotal moment. And I can tell you, because I've had my series of pivots. I've dealt with having a chronic medical condition, getting that diagnosis. And it crops its head up from time to not time to let me know that hey, it's still there. It's a pivot. I've had relationships that I thought were at a certain level, but they weren't. Or maybe they just couldn't go with me in the next chapter, the next season that God has in store for me. That's a pivot. I've gone from having my own challenges with infertility to being blessed with children to now having adult children and all those relational stages of change, of letting go. That's a pivot. Losing my parents, that's a pivot. Having to deal with my own personal development and growth. And as the world continues to change, and realizing myself that God was calling me to do something more, something bigger than being a physician that I had studied so many years to become, and for so many years was my aspiration. And life changed. I'm gonna be honest. I've been in situations where people have talked about me, people have attempted to tell my story, to write my story, and I had to pivot. I've had my own situations where I found myself just crying because life changed. And it was one of those huge pivot defining moments that I either had to decide to stay stuck down in a hole or take the necessary steps to move forward. Getting through the pivot is a part of a journey. It's a process, and you can have joy in the process unapologetically. In the pivot is where you will go higher by going deeper. And in this new season of this podcast, I will coach you. I will be there with you as I help you find joy, reconnect with your dreams, all based on my 4 pillars that I feel are monumental to living your best life in whatever season you find yourself and having joy in the pivot. I will help you create a life of permission, presence, priority, and purpose. I look forward to having you in this new season with me. Welcome to the Joy in the Pivot podcast.